475 Evolutionary Radio Q&A coming your way. Stevesmi in the Rickster, Ricky V. Rock, live from the Bronx. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, Gaz? How's everybody doing out there?
Good. Can't get any better, buddy, than just chilling in the basement headquarters of Evo. Underground with the Ninja Turtles in the Bronx with the rats and in the sewer here where we're at. This is where we do the podcast. So we have 5 great Q&As coming your way. The first one, Rick, is for you. How long does it take to feel a difference when starting steroids? Really, really good question because you can take it at a different angle. So I'm going to let you have first crack at this, and I'm going to kind of come in and take it at a different angle.
So, basically, how long does it take to feel the difference? It depends on what you're using. A lot of like a good oral, like let's say Dianabol, you're going to feel that pretty much right away. Dianabol is one of those steroids you could actually take pre-workout and feel something from it. You know, that one, you'd actually get a boost. Now, funny enough, I've noticed on Dianabol, like you feel something more from it right after you take it. When you've been on it for a few days, it seems like on like day 3, day 4, right after you take it, boom, you feel something. It's a good pre-workout one. Check drops, Halo. It's known for those sort of effects. So those are 2 good ones. I will say suspension. I felt quite randy, baby, after a good shot of suspension of just testosterone alone. And you know what's funny? I didn't feel like Winstrol did that, but I think testosterone kind of sort of did, like right at the spot dizzle. That's kind of about it for the most part. Everything is going to take over a day. Once you get into, say, trenbolone acetate or propionate, testosterone propionate, now you need a day to kind of see it, kind of feel it. I know, like trenbolone, the next day, my pee smells different. Just a little ding, just that little trenbolone zizzle coming from the kidneys. But it takes about a day. It takes about a day. And even on that date. So that's kind of like the times. Everything else, man, it takes a while to build up, like start taking something like EQ. I mean, you're not really on it, or you're not on the dose that you kind of game that you wanted to be until you're after like your 3rd, 4th shot is when you're really getting that. Like you don't feel like you're on 400 milligrams a week of equipoise until like your 4th or 5th shot of 400 milligrams a week of equipoise. You know what I mean? That's when you start to feel that bad boy. And those are the longer ester ones. So definitely ester plays a role. Ester plays a role.
Yeah, I can tell you the first time I used steroids, they hit me like a ton of bricks. I was using Sustanon. I was using Dianabol. I think it was the Dianabol that really kicked in quick, and I was feeling a difference in my lifts. Instead of being able to do 6 reps, the same amount of weight, I was able to do 8 reps. And I can remember even the first rep I did, I was like, wow, this shit felt light, So in terms of that, but once you start using steroids, the more and more you use them, the less of effect you notice. And it gets to the point where something like Tren, it would be something you feel like after a week or 2. You feel a difference in the gym. You're getting those weird Tren pumps that you don't get without Tren. You start getting the weird Anavar pumps, the weird Winstrol pumps. The pumps really start getting intense when you're really doing isolation lifts and you're really doing drop sets and stuff like that. So I'd say in terms of that, you'll start noticing a difference. And I think too, maybe what happens too is you start feeling those androgens start kicking in, but it's a subtle thing, but the first couple cycles, you really notice it quick. And then the more you use them, those androgens, you don't really notice those androgens. So I would say this really depends. You may not feel, I can remember I ran a primobolan cycle. I really didn't feel like I was on anything. I was on Primo, 10, 12 weeks. I didn't feel like I was on anything. I was getting a difference in the mirror. I was looking more cut. I was getting lean muscle mass, but I wasn't getting the strength improvements. I wasn't getting much of anything else. So it wasn't really something that I was feeling. So if you really want to feel stuff from steroids, you have to run the more androgenic steroids. You're going to feel, if you run Superdrol, you're going to feel that Superdrol within a week. You're going to feel the side effects. You're going to feel the changes in your strength. You run Tren, you're going to feel the trend. You run Anadrol, you're going to feel the Anadrol. You run Dianabol, you're going to feel those pumps. You're going to feel that water retention. You're going to feel a difference, you see? So it really depends on what steroid you're running and at one point of the journey you're on. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is stacking GH into a steroid cycle worth it? So that's a really good question. I get asked this question a lot by my clients. And, the way I answer this is pretty simple. I tell my clients, I'm like, look, if you get blood work done and you have low growth hormone levels and you run 2 IUs of growth hormone, good quality growth hormone, which is plenty, you'll notice a difference. But if you're in your 20s and you already have good growth hormone levels, then it's not going to be worth it to run growth hormone because your growth hormone levels are already pretty good. So it would be kind of pointless to waste the money on the growth hormone. So I would say once you get in your 40s and 50s, it might be a good idea to start messing around with growth hormone. It's going to increase your appetite. It's going to help your sleep. It's going to help you sleep harder. It's going to help with fat loss. It's going to do a lot of things that as you get older may become a struggle and may be advantageous to use something like growth hormone. But you shouldn't have problems sleeping in your 20s. You shouldn't have problems with appetite in your 20s. And you sure as hell shouldn't have problems with fat loss in your 20s. You see? So my point of view is if you're deficient in growth hormone, adding it to a steroid cycle is a wonderful thing. But if you're not, it's kind of pointless. And another thing, too, you see the pros, they all use growth hormone for sure, but they use a lot of it. And when you use a lot of growth hormone, you run the risk of your blood sugar going up. You run the risk of being insulin resistant. So you really have to use insulin to get that blood sugar down when you run all that growth hormone. So don't try to copy what the pros are doing. Don't try to run 5, 10, 15 IUs of growth hormone a day because you're only going to screw yourself. You see? Because they have the genetics. They're running insulin. They're running a bunch of shit with it. Okay? A bunch of stuff that you don't need. And they're getting huge off that growth hormone. That growth hormone is helping them get huge. You don't need to go down that route. You're not a pro. Your goal isn't to be 280 pounds, right? Your goal is to look good. 95% of you who listen to this, your goal is to look good, right? You want to look good in the mirror. You want to look good on the beach. So running a shitload of growth hormone makes absolutely no sense. You're just wasting your money going down that route. So, Rick, clean up a little bit of the stuff I'm talking about.
Well, if you can get good, legitimate growth hormone, it's probably the best thing, in my opinion, to complement a good steroid cycle. If you had to pick between growth hormone or insulin, definitely growth hormone. Definitely. I don't think the guts and some of the monstrous looking parts of professional bodybuilding, I think those are caused mainly by insulin. I think growth hormone and testosterone are great. Most of us can get where we want to go with our physiques with just growth hormone and good all human grade testosterone. Those two, and just stay grinding it in the gym and just keep your diet on point. Don't fall off. If you keep your diet on point, you don't fall off. and you keep it grinding in the gym, really, really, guys, like you can look great just on those two. You don't need a ton of different things. But if you get good, legitimate, the problem with growth hormone is if it's not legit, if it's not coming from just a completely watertight, trusted source. I mean, everything from mishandling all the way from the chain of manufacturing to even you, if you don't know what the hell you're doing and you are reconstituting and you squirt bacteriostatic water around into the wafer, break it up. Like that, like even just at any level, mishandling, you're gonna damage some of it. So as long as you get good, great stuff, steroids plus human growth hormone look about as good as you want to look. Maybe turn back the clock a little bit. Steroids plus insulin, the gut, that weird look, more monstrosity. Yeah, you get more mass on that, I think, but you start to get that mass kind of fat pot belly abs, I think is where most mainly coming from. A lot of people agree with me. You mix the three, that's really at the end of the day sort of the Mr. Olympia cocktail. They're exploiting all of these three pathways towards gaining muscle mass and burning body fat. They're the three pathways, which is androgen receptors, insulin, and then the growth hormones. And in the growth realm, you've got obviously some peptides and things like that, right? Also, they're tossing T3 in there. They're tossing T3 in there right along with everything. So, yeah, definitely is. It's a GH just plain works. Look, just GH on its own. How about just GH on its own? You know, even if all you had was just some GH by itself, you know, for most guys out there, testosterone levels are good, or you just grab a good testosterone booster, maybe pick up HC Generate from me, hcgenerate.com, plug in my own product, and some good human growth hormone from the doctor. Got a pretty damn good combination. You know, GH is on its own is great. If you could do one thing, obviously a little bit of test. If you could add a good second thing, you legitimately afford it. Testing human growth hormone, in my opinion. I just continue to just say insulin is just not needed unless you're pro level and the judges want you to become a monster to give you that W. Then no need to mess with insulin, in my opinion.
Next one we're going to talk about is a home gym. How to spend money on a home gym. So years ago, I built my own home gym. I made the mistake of buying brand new equipment. I went to a retail store. I bought some equipment there. I went online. I bought some equipment there. Had it shipped. Very expensive to ship. This is really heavy stuff, right? I needed rubber weights. I couldn't find rubber weights anywhere. So I had to order online. And I think it was UPS or FedEx delivered it. They charged like $75 just to deliver it. So huge mistake going that route. The best thing to do is to buy used. A lot of people in your town, when they go out and they buy exercise equipment, weights, bench presses, squat racks, all this stuff, right? And they might use it for a couple of weeks and then they quit. All right, they just use it once a month. It just sits in the garage gathering dust. They want to get rid of it. They want to clear out space. During the pandemic, same thing. People stopped going to gyms. Everyone started getting a home gym. You couldn't find equipment. It was all getting bought out. All that equipment has been now sitting in people's garages and gathering dust because either they quit and they don't use it anymore, or they're back in their gym. So in the end, the time is now to go and search, these websites, the Craigslist, the Backpage. And I don't even know if Backpage and Craigslist are still even around. I think Craigslist is still around. But some of these pages, there's all kinds of apps now where you can sell things. I know there's apps to buy furniture. So you can go on these places. And even if you don't own a truck, I don't own a truck. Rick doesn't own a truck. But, what you can do is just go to like the Home Depot or any type of trucking place and rent a truck for the day and, pay $40, $50 maybe. I think Home Depot, they charge like $25, $30, man, for like 4 hours or 5 hours. So what you could do is you can go check out the equipment at the people's homes that they're selling and then kind of lowball them on the price, but be polite about it. You don't want to insult the people, because they might just kick you out and be like, no, fuck off. I'm not selling this to you. But you can be surprised. Just lowball, be like, look, I don't have a truck. I'm going to have to go rent a truck from Home Depot. It's going to cost this much money. Can you take this off the price? I'm going to have to pay someone to come with me and haul the stuff away. So just a little bit of hustle that way. And you get some really good deals. You can just basically clean these people out. And you'll be helping them. You're doing them a favor because they need the room in their garage, right? And they're not using the equipment anyway. So really, you're doing them a favor by taking the shit off their hands. And then, that's how you start acquiring equipment. I think some of the most important things that you need to acquire when you're doing a home gym are mats are very important so you can protect the floors. I think it's very important. Mirrors are important. If you can find used mirrors that you can put against the wall, that is really good. Squat racks, Olympic style bars, which should weigh about 45 pounds. Rubber weights are really, really important. If you could find rubber weights that are used, you save a fortune on rubber weights. And then iron weights, obviously, are really, really important too. Dumbbells, racks, stuff like that. A bench press. If you get a squat rack that you can turn into a bench press as well, that's great. And then, that pretty much covers it. I mean, you don't have to go and spend thousands and thousands of dollars buying all this shit brand new, like I did, a while back, 20 years ago. So that's what I would do. And I know so many people, you just go to their house and they just have all this equipment in their garage that they don't even use. So, that would be the best way to do it. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, so I'll give you guys some quick guidelines for just trying to have a good weight set at home. And I'll give you guys the smallest setup possible. There just aren't that many people out there that have the space, So if you have a small space, what's a good gym setup? So I'm going to just kind of give you the real basics. Number one, and it's coming a lot from personal experience and personal preferences. So if this is not, my goals are not the same as yours, maybe at least you could understand my mentality when putting this together and how I go about it. So number one, obviously, this is all to stay fit. Home gym is I need to have, obviously, bicycle, stationary and outdoor bicycle, getting out on the trail, getting in the fresh air, have a bike rack for your car. It's a great way to get some cardio in you. It's a great way to zone out and get some cardio in you. Get off your earphones. Go on a nice nature trail. No matter what city you're in, you can drive to where you could just unload your bike off your bike rack in your car and then just go on a trail for hours. Put your phone in a little pouch in case of emergency, but no earphones, none of that. So you can listen to nature. Listen, a fucking bear might be trying to eat you. Just be aware if you're biking around cars and stuff. So that's very basic. And then obviously have your home bike. There's a lot of content that I have to listen to, audios, things like that, a lot of reading, and just getting on my bike to do my reading time. I'll set my tablet up, a big tablet in front of me, and just get on my bike. I mean, it's just a good way to get cardio in, especially when the weather's shitty. If it's too cold, if it's way too hot, if the day ran across you couldn't get your miles of bike trekking in, just put them in at night before bed on your stationary bike. That's one thing. Two, dumbbells. If you could afford it, get the ones that are adjustable, the ones that it's just one quick stand, small space. stick your hand in the weight, shift it. There's different models and they'll give you good range. Just get the proper range that you need for you and go. The adjustable ones, I mean, dumbbells are just necessary. And then get yourself a good seat, a good bench, just a good bench. You can incline, decline a little bit, just nice, sturdy, good bench that stands alone, by the way. There's a nice, good standalone bench. Nice, good standalone bench. And that thing's got to be sturdy, made of good, harsh, solid foam. Don't cheap out on your bench, man. If you get a good bench, you go at work. You could put the bench up, sit on it, do biceps on that thing, rear delts, sit on that thing. You lay it back. You can do skull crushers on that thing. You can do, rows, dumbbell rows on that thing. You could put your chest, incline it, put your chest against it, do shoulders, do biceps with your arms hanging off. Like, there's just so many things you could do with a good, just make sure it's a good, solid bench. And then what you want to do is, and remember, this is like my no room, zero space room setup. You could have them custom made if you know what you're doing, or you could buy them probably. Just get a rack. You need 2 beams, square beams or whatever that you could secure up to your wall, maybe even. And then you have the arms, and you could sort of use that for both. If you play it right, you could take your bench that you already have that's nice and sturdy, place it in the middle of your rack. And I would have the floor marked out. I would have measured everything out, have notches on the floor where I know my bench is at the same distance when I need to use it for bench press. Use that for bench press, or raise the arms, and without the bench press, use that as your kind of squat rack. You know what I mean? And have it go up against the wall. And definitely you need a nice barbell. Definitely weights to put on that barbell. And you need a curl bar. Easy curl bar is great. So just your regular Olympic 45-pound barbell. I wouldn't dumbbells you can get creative with. Home gym, fucking real juicer out there. You wouldn't settle for anything less than having a real 45-pound barbell with real plates in your possession at home. Just don't. Like, what else you want? Just use that for curls, and have the easy curl bar for like more concentration work, like when you do skull crushers and things like that. What else could you add to that? Really, I mean, I got my bike for my cardio. Oh, heavy bag. Obviously, I definitely would have a heavy bag. What's cool about a heavy bag is you can kind of wheel your bike to the corner, hang up your heavy bag, work on it, take your heavy bag off the rack of your whatever you put in your ceiling, toss it on the side, wheel out your bike. I mean, it's just a nice kind of New York apartment gym, I should say, style. What other things? Mirrors, nice big ass mirrors on the wall. Get that full kind of experience. Nice speaker to pump the jams while you're doing it. Mats you can get on the floor and do some mat work, some good kind of work. Good braces on the wall so that you can get some rubbers, some bands, and do some kind of band work. If you like a big rich guy, get that thing with a big TV and the 2 arms that customize the workout and stuff. I've seen it around. It looks interesting as hell. Research it, obviously, is a big purchase. Get the best one out there. But that thing with the screen and the 2 arms and the pulleys looks incredible. I do a lot of pulley work. And interestingly enough, getting pulleys with weights, like weights pulleys, is one of the more expensive, more not so home accessible pieces of gym equipment. That's why, rubber bands attached to the wall come in handy. But man, if you can get a pulley, like just a cross pulley rack, then you can then use for triceps and use it for like cable crossovers, and you could use them for even biceps. Like that would be hot too if you get like the racks. These are all like the cool piece of gym equipment. I don't really know much else. I mean, I guess maybe a preacher curl if you're a big curling guy. I'm not a big curling guy. I rarely get on preacher curl myself. Maybe get those maybe extra equipment like those racks that you put in front of your chest so that you can isolate better when you do standing curls. It's that there's some things, little extra things you can add, but mainly those would be my pieces, man. Stationary bike, something mounted on the wall that I can bring up and down for both a bench and squats to use as a rack. And I would mount it right up to the wall. If you could do a freestanding rack, that'd be awesome. Good sturdy bench that you can move around the room to get into different situations, move around the rack to do everything. Mark off where the center is. So when you tuck it, when you pull your thing in for bench is always in the right spot. You don't have to eye it every time. And good thick rubber matting on the ground. I'd have it probably as few dumbbells as possible. And maybe a little, a kettlebell assortment wouldn't be bad either. If you're doing functional stuff, it's going to be part of the show today. We're going to talk about if you're doing sport specific stuff, then, kettlebells, some weights on ropes, some heavy bats, medicine balls. This is if you there's a lot you could do with a medicine ball and a wall. I mean, or by yourself. You know what I mean? And there's a lot you could do with a medicine ball and a yoga mat by yourself. It's just like how sport specific you want to get. I mean, you could grab just a couple sets of kettlebells and just do almost a whole body workout with a kettlebell. You like get there. Like it's really how creative you are, what you're doing and mainly what your main goals are really,
Damn, bro. I didn't know you were that passionate about home gyms.
Oh, I've always owned gym equipment. The worst piece of home gym equipment you can buy, in my opinion, is buying one of those cheap bench presses. Like those things, I don't know, man. Those the ones where it's like a little wooden board and it's got foam and they just stapled fake leather around it and it's tiny and it's light and
yeah. I've never really.
Yeah, like I had one of those as a kid, but I think like if you're gonna do that, just don't do that. Just get a good bench and then just for your bench. If you can't get a rack, just do a dumbbell flies, and then your bench workout. But just get like, in my opinion, those benches with a cheap ass bench with the rack for the bench press is the worst investment you can make.
I think
get a really good bench that you could stand alone, free alone, that has no obstructions around it, and then just get creative. If you can't do a bench with a full bar, then use dumbbells. If you can't, don't. I think one of the worst pieces is the really cheapo bench press with the leg extension kind of machine. I'm sure some guys out there listening to this have gotten incredible workouts on those, and you can. But it's not a piece of equipment that I consistently would want to use. It's something that I would use out of desperation for not getting a workout. And nowadays, when I was a kid and I had my Gold's gym, black one with gold on it, and the weight set that I got from some of the first mail order catalogs when I was a kid. I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of that, but I was a kid. Once you're grown up, you've been banging weights around as long as we have. You need some real man shit. I'd rather have less equipment and it'll be like man equipment than have a bunch of like cheapo kind of housewife or teenager equipment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the worst piece of equipment is a Smith machine. That's that. I mean, it's so like not natural to have that motion, that range of motion with a Smith machine. Just really, really, really good way to injure yourself. So
a lot of people like them. A lot of people hate them. I definitely wouldn't. If I had a home gym, a Smith machine would probably not be in my top 10 or 12 pieces of equipment I would have.
Well, the ironic thing is these gyms, they'll usually have a Smith machine and not a squat rack or a bench press because it's for safety reasons, right? But the ironic thing is a Smith machine is more dangerous than that. It's just because dummies, hurt themselves on a bench press and dummies hurt themselves on a squat rack. But if you know what you're doing, you could get yourself injured on a Smith machine because what you're going to do is you're going to kind of throw out your joints and stuff like you put a lot of pressure on your joints. So I don't recommend Smith machines. at all. We'll talk about that in a future podcast for sure. Why I don't recommend them. I'll kind of get into it again.
Yeah, it'd be good. So I don't really fuck with Smith machines. I have for very specific things here and there, very specific situations. But I don't, I'm very very wary of them. I'd rather just use the free bar and have a spotter if I'm doing something a little dicey. But yeah, I don't fuck with Smith machines. It restricts. I don't really like anything that restricts movement too much. And if you notice, all of my recommendations is just better ways of doing free weights, pretty much, except for the bicycle, which I wouldn't even do a treadmill. Like, why have a treadmill? Just get out and run. If you have a treadmill at home, just get the fuck out and run.
Yeah, treadmill. I don't get me started on treadmills or ellipticals or a stationary bike. Don't get me started on those. Well, we'll talk about that definitely because we're going to get into a weight training.
Yeah. And for me, by the way, when the weather's bad, especially like down, let's say I'm in Colombia during rainy season, I can't get out mountain biking much. It's a good way for me to keep my bicycle pedaling legs going, because the pedals sit the same distance from the bicycle, no matter if I'm going uphill, downhill. So it's really just doing that one specific movement and continue practicing it. So when I get out on the field, it's, I'm still good. But I mean, that's part of my lifestyle. But yeah, I mean, they're really cardio, man. My favorite cardio is hitting the bag. Second is the bicycle. And third is just getting out and running, if that's what it is. But fuck, man, some of these treadmills and ellipticals are so boring to me, dude. Incredible.
Let's get into the next topic. It's going to be sitting at a desk all day versus construction job and weight training after. And boy, oh boy, I can see two different scenarios on this one. So sitting at a desk job all day really takes a toll on your back. You're slouching. Your shoulders are getting rolled forward. Then you go weight train, and, kind of throws off your, just kind of throws off your symmetry, when you're weight training. It throws off your, just the way, you slouch and stuff. And it can kind of affect your whole spine health. And then the weight training can make your spine health worse, obviously, because you're putting a lot of pressure on your spine. And on the flip side, a construction job, you're doing all that labor all day, and then you go weight train on top of it, and you're doing even more labor, and you put on even more pressure on your body. So I can see both scenarios being a negative situation, but unfortunately, most of us, who aren't trust fund babies, have to work. We work all day, and we're either going to go to the gym before work or we're going to go after the work. So my suggestion personally, I like the idea of getting out my workout over with earlier in the day. This way, especially if you have, let's say you have a desk job, get it out of the way early, then you have your desk job, versus working your job all day, then going to the gym. But, that's not always possible with some people. Some people have to work out later in the day. So really, everybody has to go through that, So it really is one of those things where your nutrition is very important. Your sleep is very important, because that's when you recover and repair your body, is when you're sleeping. So really, it's going to boil down to those two things. I mean, if you're going to be able to survive the whole weight training grind, that's what it's all about. And it can be done. It may boil down to you changing up the way you train. You're going to have to train smarter and more efficient, not train harder, not pound your body into the dirt. Okay. Like you see these professionals, these pro bodybuilders, they pound their body into the dirt. They do 4 or 5 day splits, and they pound the shit out of their muscle groups. All right. But they don't have a real job. All right. They are making a living bodybuilding. They're selling, they're doing endorsements. They have, a supplement line, a clothing line, whatever. They're not really working a full 9 to 5 job like most of us do. So in their situation, they can pound their body into the dirt and it's not going to be a big deal. You see? So I personally, I can't imagine on the flip side, construction job. If you do a hard labor construction job and then you want to weight train on top of it in the same day, I can't imagine you lasting very long at this. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but that's just the reality. You can get away with it in your 20s. You're probably going to get away with it for most of your 30s. But once you get into your 40s and 50s, it's just not going to work anymore. That's just too much trauma on your body, because weight training is tough on the body, man. It's tough. If you get an MRI done on your spine at 40 years old, and you've been weight training for 20 years, you're going to be 12, 15 years ahead when it comes to your spine health. That's what your ortho is going to tell you that, because they told me that. And I never worked construction jobs. I worked desk jobs my whole life. And even my spine is 10, 12 years ahead of where it needs to be just from weight training for 20 years, for 25 years. You see? So I can't imagine on top of it doing a construction job. It's just not plausible to me. I'm sorry to say that. So, I mean, if you do work a construction job and you weight train, you're going to have to figure something out where you either back off on your job a little bit or you back off on the weight training. That's the only plausible scenario I see. What's your opinion on this one, Rick?
Well, I'm going to take it from just a little bit of a different angle. I think you said what needed to be said about weight training. I mean, it'd be pretty hard to do a construction demanding, physically demanding job and then go into weight train after. I'd be hard seeing that. That being said, guys who do construction, like real construction, I'm gonna take it back a little bit to even include like third world construction people. We've all seen the videos on YouTube of these guys in South America and India carrying 4, 5, 6, 7 even. I'm looking at picture one right now because I Googled it, 7 bags of concrete. These bags of concrete in the U.S., they're usually 90 to 100 pounds. 94 pounds is the average one in the U.S. Outside of the world markets, usually around 40-something to 50 pounds each bag. And you'll have a guy who looks pretty skinny, man. Some of these guys, they don't look the part. And he's just got a piece of rope and a stack of 7 bags of concrete right in front of him. He's just got the rope wrapped around his both hands, just carrying the bags in front of him like it's a cake or something, a 7-layer cake of concrete. Or they'll sit there and just somebody from a truck will lay bag of concrete upon bag of concrete, 4, 5, 6, 7 stack, and these guys walk it over. Skinny dude, probably no more than 160, 70 pounds soaking wet. Walks across the yard with 5 50-pound bags of concrete on their shoulders. This is kind of like real strength, Big muscles don't always mean you're going to get really strong, and being really strong doesn't always mean you're going to have humongous muscles. Getting nice, big, round muscle bellies, I think has a lot more to do with that mind and muscle connection, full contraction, and all those real things, like isolating the muscle to get the most work out of it. When you do a preacher curl, or when you do a bicep curl, right? You're actually putting the muscle in your whole body in sort of the worst position to really lift that weight. You're making it so that the whole weight of that is just in one, it's just in the bicep, just a couple of muscles you're isolating. That's not the best way to carry weight, really. But when a construction worker, 150 pound, 160 pound, a construction worker building a cement and brick house in Nicaragua, when the guy puts a stack of 6 bags of concrete, 300 pounds on his shoulder, twice his body weight, and walks that bitch, some 15 meters, whatever, 20, where they're mixing the concrete. And he does that over and over again until a couple of them unload the truck. That's a combination of the muscles strengthening and also a good technique taking over and the muscles working together with the bone structure. So the isolation exercises we do in the gym are great to kind of build that muscle. If you want real usable strength that you can use, that you can really lift fucking heavy shit, most of it is going to have a lot more to do with muscle memory on good technique. And obviously, the muscle strengthening go along with it, but it's just the muscle memory for the good technique to get the weight up as efficiently as possible. Good technique in bodybuilding exercises is letting one muscle do all the work and not allowing the rest of the body to help move the weight. The way natural weight movements would work. When you're naturally moving weight because you need to move a bag of concrete, your body will find the best way to move it for your strength, your abilities, everything. When it comes to isolating a bicep curl, you're doing it in the worst, kind of most painful, isolated way for that muscle. We gets no help. Just want to kind of throw that distinction out. I mean, listen, you could get a couple of really kind of big, swole bodybuilders to just unload a cement truck, or you could get a big Chico with a landscaping sweater to fucking unload a bag full of bags of concrete. And probably the Chico with the construction company hoodie, he's gonna unload that truck and then have more energy to do things with his day later on than the bodybuilders. You get bodybuilders that are used to isolating body parts and all these things, and you get them unloading concrete where they have to figure out their own technique to do this more efficiently. Those guys are going to be hurt, man. They're not going to be in the gym for a couple of days. It's just muscle memory and technique takes over. It took a little different angle on it, Steve, but there it goes.
I once did was laying some concrete for a parking, like for a driveway, and I went to go pick up the bag of concrete. Not, that wasn't mixed yet, the powder. And, I had a hard time picking it up, but at the time I was clean and jerking, like 250 pounds. And the person there was like laughing. They're like, why are you having a hard time lifting a 50-pound bag? And I was like, look, I mean, this is different than weight training. The bag is just this big ass bag. You can't grip it like you can a bar. It's more of, you got to kind of put it, like you said, like you got to kind of hold it like a baby and then kind of throw it over your shoulder to carry it. So it's very different than weight training. It just goes to show you, there's been Edgerrin James, football player. He used to he never weight trained in his life, but he worked on his grandpa's watermelon farm, and he pick up watermelon and carry them, to the truck, whatever, back and forth. So he actually built his muscle just from working on the watermelon farm, never from weight training. So a lot of times these construction jobs, you're getting a workout just from the construction jobs. You don't even need to go to the weight room, so think about that. If you work in construction, maybe, whatever muscles you work that day, and then you want to go to the gym, work on a different group of muscles.
Guys with good genetics will get pretty ripped off of a construction job. We've, again, with Facebook, with social, you all know what I'm talking about. We've seen pictures, especially if you're a meathead. Social algorithm is showing you bodybuilding shit at least 30% of the time. We've all seen pictures of some guy in Bangladesh with a t-shirt wrapped over his head because it's so hot, and he's just glistening. He's fucking ripped in some construction site or in some farm. I think if genetics plays away, everybody in the community eating about the same. The guy with the good genetics is going to get ripped at the construction site. The rest of the guys are going to look like everyone else that has that diet. But I mean, working like a heavy construction job is just as legitimate of a physical activity as anything. And if you complement it with a good diet to go along with it, I mean, you might have something going.
Duncan Construction? All right, so the next topic we're going to get to is this one is yours, Rick. Playing in hobby sports leagues. You said COL, but you meant cool. And why?
Is it cool or not?
Why? Yeah, why is it cool? So why don't you talk about it? We have about 5-10 minutes left. Why don't you talk a little bit about it, and I'll kind of chime in here or there and kind of rub your balls a little bit in it. But go ahead.
Yeah,
and give your opinion.
I don't like watching organized sports, but I'll more likely than not go in and play a pickup game of basketball, play a little pickup game of soccer, flag football. Like I got those skills to play those sports. I might go do that before I sit down and watch somebody else play. So I actually like getting bodies in motion. But then I find guys that take it too seriously, that take it too far. And I just wanted to pose the question of how healthy that is. Like right now, I know people that are not making a life out of this, have a regular job, and are like fucking killing themselves at a little rugby league, or at a just really going hard on the paint and getting hurt, limping to work the next on Monday, just because they're taking competition real serious in their late 30s and 40s, when obviously your time to become a professional is already kind of eclipsed. And I see my dad up there with it too. He's 55. He plays in like 2 soccer leagues, Saturday and Sunday games. Gets hurt a lot, by the way. A couple of times a year, he's got some sort of injury, but it makes him feel alive. And I mean, I think that I advocate a lot just doing real training, real sports, real something to get your workout in, as opposed to just sitting on a treadmill or a stationary bike or whatever, right? But at the same time, just know your limits. Don't get fucking hurt. You know what I mean? You don't how much really is that hobby worth it if you got to have a disc replacement because of a hobby, right? I mean, you got to really love it if it's not your career. I don't know. Just a lot to think about. Because I've been thinking about that. I have a lot of people near me that play in these leagues, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but Rick, you're not athletic enough to play in any of those leagues. They laugh you off. I mean, if you went out for basketball, they'd laugh you off the court.
Actually, I'm a great pickup basketball player.
I know.
Yeah. No, dude. Let me tell you sports that I'm actually very fluid at that I can just come in and do. Soccer, no problem. Basketball, no problem. Touch hand football, obviously, no problem.
Why touch hand? Why not tackle? Why? Huh?
I wouldn't do tackle football because I probably end up getting hurt. I don't have the technique for it. Yeah, like I don't have the experience. Yeah. I've never put pads on and played one game of tackle football, but I've played 2-hand touch football. I play flag football like a lot.
Yeah. Would you rather like tackle a man, or would you rather just touch him?
I'd rather wrestle him on a sweaty mat. I'd rather wrestle him.
Like if he had a ball, if he had a ball, right, and he's like running. And he's like running at you. Would you rather just how would you tackle him? Like if he was let's say a guy was running at you, big dude was running at you, he outweighed you by like 30 pounds, and he's running at you full speed with the ball, right? Yeah. How would you bring him to the ground? I'm just curious to hear your opinion.
Okay, never having played a game of tackle football, but having watched enough of it. Yeah, I know the proper technique would be to try to get his waistline right over my shoulder. Like if I was standing and carrying someone over my back like a caveman, I'd want to get to that with me running against him and avoid smashing my head into his helmet or into a part of his body that would divert me either way. The perfect tackle, legal, right? Because it's illegal to go below the knee. That's why guys got so big, I think.
No, you can go below the knees to tackle.
Oh, okay. So that's why guys got so big now, because something about the rule changing a few decades ago made
you can't block someone below the knees. You can't do a crackback.
There's something about a rule change that made it so now you got fucking giants on the line.
But if you're trying to tackle someone, I mean, you can get them.
I know that's the perfect tackle. Yeah. I know the perfect tackle is. Yeah, and the perfect tackle is grabbing around the waistline, like either from behind or from the front, just gripping onto that fucking waistline, and then from there on, whatever. If he's coming towards me, he's done. If I grab his waistline, and if he's running away from me, I could probably fuck him up too. So, am I correct or
wrong? Yeah. Here's why you're wrong on that. If the guy outweighs you, definitely don't want to do that. The best thing to do if the guy outweighs you is go up his head, like grab him by the neck and kind of uses momentum to bring him to the ground.
Okay,
That
like
way,
a bull.
yeah. Yeah, something because he's.
But I can't. So I can't grab the metal in his helmet, but I could grab the head of his helmet.
No, you can grab like around the neck, like grab him on the neck and kind of like get his balance on and bring him down because he outweighs you. But if you outweighed him, like a linebacker trying to bring down a running back, yeah, you want to obviously square him up and you want to get him, his legs in the correct form would be go, where the back of the knees are. You basically want your hands there and you want to square them up and then kind of pick him up and then stop his momentum and basically put him on his butt that way. That would be, the most ideal. But if you watch like NFL and you watch, the way they hit each other, most of the time it's really, if you see like a running back who's barreling down the field and you see like a corner or a safety who's weighs less than the running back or the fullback, right? Or a tight end or something, they actually will they'll either like just kind of get them off balance to bring them down, or they'll just kind of cut them.
And I also forgot when I was trying to thinking about answering this question. Slowing the guy down could be just as good as taking him down yourself, because then you got teammates that could bring him down too. So yeah, you're absolutely right. If the guy's huge, grab onto the top of his head, it'll like a bull, it'll pull his body either way, and then even if you just slow him down enough for your teammates to catch up, he's fucking done. You don't have to really bring him down.
I tried your strategy when I used to play football, and you just get run over doing that because the guy. I could see how a guy be huge. If they outweigh you, they're just going to run you over because they're just coming at you with the momentum and stuff. So in that situation, if you're outweighed by the guy like 30, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, whatever, you can definitely get him up high and kind of get his balance out and then bring him down. It's not the most it's not a form tackle at all, but it's completely, it's the best way to get someone big down. Of course, but if they're smaller than you, just fucking, I just
remembered. So I just remembered something. I actually have the video. I have a video for this. I've actually never put it on Facebook, but I'll show it to you. I had we made a wager with this kid, like $20. He's a big football player, like 6'2", 6'3", 200 and time of the video, like 220, 230 pounds, big dude. And we bet that I basically bet him that it was weird. It's a weird conversation, but I basically made the comment that I've been doing martial arts so long that unless the person was trained, no matter how big the dude was, unless he was actually trained in hand-to-hand combat, I'd fuck him up. But if he had some training, if he was bigger than me, he could, the basics at least, he could mess me up pretty bad. And he said, I'll never train, but I bet you I could, you couldn't take me. I'm too big for you. So I said, nah, it'd be like a Wolverine taking down a fucking bison. Like it'd be funny, but I'd fuck you up. And he said, put your money where your mouth is. So anyway, like 10 minutes later, we're out in the front yard with our shorts on, wrestling. And yeah, when I tried to see what his reaction time, he had no reaction time to me dropping level. So I knew I could have shot a double on him, which is what I suggested here. But I knew with his big ass dude, if I got in like that, he could just swing me around, crush me with his weight. So I just picked his ankle up off the ground a little bit and then just laid my shoulder on his knee against the joint, just like pick his ankle off the ground and laid my shoulder on his knee against the joint. And with that, he just felt like a tree backwards, like timber. But like, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, like even from a slow wrestling kind of pace, I didn't want to be stuck around under the dude. Now I couldn't fucking imagine at my size, I got a big 200 something pound guy with momentum running towards me. Yeah, I think unless I'm also 200 and something pounds, the last place I'd want to be is trying to smash into his hips with all of that leg propulsion there. And yeah, like even at slow speed, even when we used to do King of the Hill and the wrestling mat, and I'd get up against guys higher above weight than me, I'd try to do ankle picks, I'd try to do anything but try to be stuck under somebody with a double leg. So you're actually right about that. That's pretty interesting, Steve. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, but most people are going to be like, oh, Steve, you don't know what you're talking about, yada, yada, yada. If you guys watch like big NFL hits, you'll see the way the guys they tackle, but they're picking up a guy and body slamming him. I'm not impressed. I mean, if you outweigh the guy by 30, 40 pounds, that's fine. But watch a corner tackling a fullback or a big tight end. They'll either do it, up high, the way I was saying, or they'll just fucking dive at their knees. You see Rob Gronkowski, they blew out his knee that way. You're not going to tackle Rob Gronkowski if you're a safety, by form tackling him. No, you're just going to dive at his knees, take out his knees, and,
Okay,
he's coming down.
You've seen this in football where two guys run at each other. The guy let's say there's a guy running, there's a guy waiting for him. They both hit each other. The guy receiving the guy that's running, they both make contact shoulder to shoulder, or what we call in wrestling like over under. They both make contact, and then the guy receiving the guy coming at him will twist his body, just his upper body, and just change the momentum of the guy coming at him and twist him around, throw him around. So he doesn't just get hit, take the hit, try to go head to head. As he's coming in, he takes the momentum and twists him. I've seen guys do that in football clips. In wrestling, that's sort of a lateral drop. Even though in wrestling, to really do a nice lateral drop, you take a little extra step in between the guy's legs to really yank that bitch. I don't think in football you could really time it enough to take that additional little step unless you were like really good. But I've seen guys do that. I've never done it. Like I said, I've never played a game with pads on, but I'm pretty sure that's something I might have tried to get good at, is grabbing guys' upper body and then twisting my body around like lateral drop style to throw people, use their own momentum against them. I've seen football players do that. When I wrestled, I was pretty good at it. If anybody locked with me over and under long enough, or if I could like trick them into pushing their weight against me, they'd be going for a ride pretty good, pretty easily.
All right, guys. So we're out of time on this episode. Definitely let us know your opinions on this. If you've ever played football, let us know what would you do if a guy who was 50 pounds more than you was barreling down the field full speed? How would you best take him down? We'll talk to you guys next week. This was episode number 475. Take care.
Have a good one, Steve. Have a good one, guys.
Guys, this is the required legal disclaimer. We are only sharing our experience from years of steroid use. We are not doctors, and none of what we say should be regarded as medical. 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 What we say